Hi Marshall, this is Jim Gillis with Win My Vote, and I'm so glad to see you running again. Your video with the celebrities, the comedians, was the inspiration to Win My Vote. I remember watching it and thinking to myself, okay, you know, this is a no-brainer vote, this guy's gonna win. And when I went to tell my wife about it, I had forgotten your name, and we looked it up in my history of my YouTube, and I ended up getting it, and we watched it, and again we both kind of laughed and said, yeah, this is like a no-brainer, right? And this, the way that you laid it out, it made it very obvious. And then I went to tell my friend about it about a couple weeks later, and I had forgotten your name, and I just realized that that's the nature of what politics has become. Is just a name game. It's like you have to say it over and over and over and over and over. And then when you didn't win, I just thought to myself, if I lined up everybody and they just gave you a minute and his campaign a minute, I think you would have won overwhelmingly. So the big question was, how does that get done? And that was sort of the genesis of Win My Vote, is saying that, look, if I had my ballot where I could walk around and I watched that video and then I favorited that candidate right then and there, then I could just move on to the next race. And then I could get reminders of early voting and election time and where my polling place was and all that type of stuff, and you would see a huge increase in voter turnout, as well as down ballot candidates being voted on. And I know that your office isn't necessarily down ballot, but I'm sure it doesn't receive the same percentage as governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, those types of numbers. Anyway, so sorry about this long video. The site, I'll show you a better ballot. So this is the presidential ballot of 2016. The idea of the site is, as a voter, I want everything in one place. I want to be able to, if someone asks me, hey, who's running in the school board race? I just want to be able to scroll down my ballot and say, yep, these guys right here, and I can then click on any one of their profiles and I can hear, what they have to say and why they're running.
We live across the street from an elementary school, but the district's assignment process doesn't care. Even though our schools are more segregated today than decades ago, many families have to drive across town every day to get to the best school they could get into, making traffic worse and impacting our jobs. We need to restore San Francisco neighborhoods.
And I can say, great, I like this guy, and I can just favorite him, and then when I go back to my ballot, his nameplate is turned green, he's now in first place. I can also see how he's doing, so the candidate can sort of track their progress. They can send out lots of emails or campaigns, and then come back and see if people are getting on Win My Vote and favoriting their candidacy. So really, it's sort of an ongoing poll where you can really measure how your campaign is resonating with the voters. And again, we can tell you the real numbers behind these percentages. The other feature with Win My Vote is what we call trusted sources. And those are groups and organizations and individuals that are endorsing candidates and propositions. So if I follow the AFL-CIO, or if I follow California Teachers, or if I follow the NRA, or whatever it may be, I can select them as a trusted source. And you can see these are the groups and organizations that I've selected down this left-hand side. And this is a demo ballot, so I've selected a lot of them. But when I'm on my ballot, and I'm comparing the candidates side by side, I can learn a little bit about the candidate. I can hear directly from the candidate themselves.
So I'm hitting the road to earn your vote.
Yes, and I wish she would have said win your vote. It would have been so much nicer. But anyway, and since the candidate builds their own profile the same way they build their Facebook page or their Twitter account, I can see the issues that they feel that are most important. And I can click on that, and if there's a video, I can watch it right
What do you
there.
have to lose? You're living in poverty. Your schools are no good. You have no jobs. Look.
Yeah. So, anyway, when I go back to my ballot, maybe I like that, right? And I say, that's my guy. I'm going to favorite him, and he moves over to the first position. You can see the percentage there has changed a little bit, and then I can move on, to the next race, and I can go all the way down. I can also see all the propositions I can read about the proposition and see groups and organizations that are supporting the proposition and groups and organizations that are opposing the proposition. And there's lots of things that I can do from the standpoint of finding my polling place and checking on my voter registration status, and maybe I want to apply to vote by mail or vote absentee. I can add this to any one of my calendars to get reminders. I can click up here on important information and see some dates, when early voting starts, when it stops, where it's located, those types of things. I can also print out my ballot once I've filled it all out, so I can walk into the polling place with it, or like a huge percentage, this year is moving forward, I'll be accessing it with my cell phone or my tablet, on the way to the polling place, and be able to quickly reference, how I plan to vote. So the 2018, this one's already up. These guys are already declaring, so I've been building them. Lieutenant governor's race, surprisingly enough, I'm on a couple of their campaign emails, and they're already raising lots of money and getting lots of endorsements this early in the stage. So I'll add you down here. I'll have to put that on. I'll have to check the ballot and see why the school superintendent isn't on that. It should be. So I'll check that out, but I'd be happy to put your profile up there. There's two ways of doing it. You can send me content anytime you want, and I'll try to manage your profile, or you can just do it yourself and go up there. It's $99 per election. So for the next 2 years, it's $99 or a year and a half or so. And if you could just try to use the email address that you used when you became a certified candidate, or when you plan to do that. It'll just make it easier for us to certify you as the real candidate. Anyway, best of luck, and again, reach out. I would be happy to do some stuff for you. I'd be happy to send out emails or invites or that type of thing on your behalf. And we also are designing features moving forward, and would love to get feedback from candidates on some of the things that they may like to have on a site like this. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.